Hello, welcome to the lesson on multiplying and dividing real numbers. So I would like to go over some rules as far as how you would determine how to multiply and divide real numbers and what those products and quotients will be. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. So you probably already know that any number times 0 is equal to 0. So if you have negative 8 times 0, that's 0, right? Because you know that 0 groups of any number is equal to 0, right? So even if you had 3 times 0, that's equal to 0, right? Now, what about when multiplying two non-zero numbers? Let's go ahead and talk about that. Let's see. All right, so when multiplying two non-zero numbers with the same sign, you're going to make the product positive. All right, so this is what I mean. For example, if you have 2 times 7, that's equal to 14, right? So notice we're multiplying two positive numbers together, right? And so therefore we're going to get a positive product, right? So this is positive 14. And by the way, you'll see multiplication written this way in algebra, or another way is written with two parentheses. For example, 3 times 9, right? So your product here is positive 27 because we're multiplying two positive numbers together, all right? Same way with 4 times 6. That's equal to positive 24. And this dot also represents multiplication, okay? So these are a variety of ways that you'll see multiplication written. All right, so let's go ahead and move on. All right, let's say let me go over this one as well. Anytime you're multiplying two non-zero numbers with the opposite signs, you're going to make the product negative. So this is what I mean. If you have 3 times negative 1, your product will be negative, right? And that's negative 3 because you're multiplying a positive times a negative, all right? This will always be the case. So even if you're multiplying a negative times a positive, like negative 4 times 6, that's a negative product, negative 24, right? Because a negative times a positive gives you a negative answer, all right? What about negative 8 times 7? That's equal to negative 56, right? Because you're multiplying a negative by a positive. All right, so hopefully that's simple enough. Now let me go ahead and cover something else as well. Okay, so let's say that you were asked to multiply the string of factors. So let's say that you're given 4 times 1, or 4 times negative 1 rather. So let me go ahead and change that. 4 times negative 1. So 4 times negative 1 times negative 2 times 3 times negative 1. All right, so will you say that the product will be positive or negative? All right, so this is what I want to say. Products with an even number of negative factors are positive, whereas those with an odd number of negative factors are negative. So here we have 1, 2, 3. So we have 3 negative factors that we're multiplying, right? So that means our answer will be negative, okay? Because remember, odd number of factors means your answer will be negative, all right? So let's go ahead and see if that's true. So 4 times negative 1 is 4, negative 4. Negative 4 times negative 2 is 8. 8 times 3 is 24. And 24 times negative 1 is equal to negative 24 because remember, a positive times a negative will give you a negative, right? So negative 24 is our answer for this. All right, so let's say that you're given let's say you're given this string of factors to multiply. So negative 4 times 1 times 2 times 3 times negative 2. All right, so let's take a look at our negative factors. How many do we have? So we have 1, 2. We have two negative factors, and we know that 2 is a positive number. Therefore, we will get a positive product, right? So negative 4 times 1 is negative 4 times 1 is equal to negative 4 times 2, which is equal to negative 8. Negative 8 times 3 is equal to negative 24, right? And negative 24 times negative 2 is equal to positive 48, right? So this works, all right? So if you're given something like this, just look at the number of negative factors that you have, and you can determine whether your answer will be positive or negative, okay? All right, so let's go ahead and move on and talk about division. Now, division is simply the opposite of multiplication. So if you have, um, let's say you have 14 divided by 7, for example, right? So this is a positive divided by a positive. So that means your answer will be positive, right? So we'll have a quotient of 2, right? Because 14 divided by 7 is 2. 7 times what number gives you 14, right? Let's say that you're dividing a negative divided by a negative. Okay, this will result in a positive, right? Because remember, when you're multiplying a negative times a negative, it gives you a positive. So it's the same with division, right? So negative 9 times what number gives you negative 27, and that's positive 3, okay? And remember, 0 divided by any number is always equal to 0, right? So if you have 0 divided by 3, you know that's 0, right? And let's see, written another way, 0 divided by 3, you know that 3 goes into 0 times. 0 times 3 is 0, right? Now, what if you were asked to divide this number, 6 divided by 0, right? So 6 divided by 0. So what number, 0 times what number gives you 6? Well, there's no such thing, right? Because 0 times 1 is 0, 0 times 2 is 0, and so on and so forth, right? So this doesn't make any sense. So this is why this is called undefined, right? There is no number that will fit this, right? That's why it's called undefined. All right, so that's all we have for this lesson. Hopefully it was helpful, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Take care.